A psychologist walked around a room while teaching stress management to an audience. As she raised a glass of water, everyone expected they'd be asked a half-empty or half-full question. Instead, with a smile on her face, she inquired, "How heavy is this glass of water?" Answers called out ranged from 8 ounces to 20 ounces, and she replied, "The absolute weight doesn't matter. It depends on how long I hold it. If I hold it for a minute, it's not a problem. If I hold it for an hour, I'll have an ache in my arm. If I hold it for a day, my arm will feel numb and paralysed. In each case, the weight of the glass doesn't change, but the longer I hold it, the heavier it becomes." She continued, "The stresses and worries in life are like that glass of water. Think about them for a while and nothing happens. Think about them a bit longer and they begin to hurt. And if you think about them all day long, you'll feel paralysed, incapable of doing anything. Remember to put the glass down." Bullshit. And here is why I think, quite frankly, that whole metaphor about the glass and the water and putting down your stresses is flawed and actually unhelpful. My name's Howard Cooper, and for those of you who don't know, let me take 30 seconds and explain what this channel is all about. For almost 20 years now, I've been helping people become free from anxiety, and this channel is all about sharing anxiety-beating tips and psychological hacks to improve your life. If that's the sort of content that appeals to you, then click subscribe, click like, click share, and you'll make sure that you never miss an episode. And this leads me to something that I wanted to start doing a little bit more of on this YouTube channel. I want to start examining some of the common memes, common sharings, common positive affirmations that get sent around, and look at them a little bit deeper. And are they really as positive as we think they are? Okay, I know it's a bit dramatic saying it's total bullshit, that metaphor about the weight of the glass, but I have some really serious concerns about it. And by the way, a lot of my thoughts around all this have been shaped quite heavily by the research that Kelly McGonigal has done. And there's she's a university psychologist, done a lot of research in stress. And I we'll put a link to it below, but she's got a great TED Talk about how to make stress your friend. I digress. So let's go back to the point in hand. What is my problem with this metaphor? Number one, my issue is, put yourself into the position of someone who's really stressed and really struggling with stress and anxiety. Hearing this idea of just put the glass down, they might resonate with it and go, yes, it really feels like I need to do that. But what's disempowering about that is there's no instructions as to how. They don't tell you how to do that. How do I just put the glass down? It's easy if it is just a glass. You literally put it down. But this idea of, well, I just let go of my stresses and strains. No shit. How many times have people said to you, if you're worried about something, don't think about it? And how effective has that actually been? Just stop worrying about it tends not to help. So, first of all, I think giving people suggestions of things to do without any explicit instructions of how to do them is inherently frustrating for people who are struggling and not ultimately helpful. Sometimes when you do that, people fall into the illusion of thinking, well, this advice is being shared widely to put the glass down. Maybe other people can do it, and therefore, what's wrong with me? Why can't I just let them go? And ultimately, they end up being more trapped and feeling more frustrated that they have these issues, but they still can't even let them go. So that's the first thing. There's no specific instruction of how they actually put it down. Number two, I think there's a problem innate within this idea that every time, essentially, you feel something and it's tough, you have to let it go. Well, why is that a problem? Because humans need discomfort to grow. We need to put ourselves in positions where we don't always feel entirely comfortable. We have a little bit of stress in our lives, and it helps to push us. If we're not doing anything that takes us out of our comfort zone, that we're not really growing as individuals. Or let's take the analogy a little bit further. Let's think about building up muscles. If you lift a tiny little weight and it feels heavy, is the solution to just put the weight down and never pick up a weight? Well, if you do that, your muscle wastes away and you don't get stronger, you don't get tougher. But what if you pick up a little weight and you keep doing it and you keep doing it, and eventually your muscles grow, they get bigger. Now you can hold heavier weights, and eventually you can manage to hold huge weights and it barely feel like an effort. Why? Because you've become stronger and more resilient. Surely that is a better goal to move towards. How can we help people become stronger, more resilient in light of stress, rather than fearing it? And that's, of course, the third thing that I have a problem with, that it teaches you to fear stress. That now, anytime I feel stress, I now have to start thinking about, oh God, how long will I carry this for in my body, and what will the long-term impacts be if I take this stress and I have it, and I have all these terrible thoughts, and I have to get rid of them, and now I'm playing tug of war in my own mind. If you fear stress, then of course you'll likely have that response to it, as though it's a problem. That one thing, and I definitely urge you to go and watch this TED Talk by Kelly McGonigal, and she talks about that stress inherently isn't bad. What is bad is your belief that stress is bad. That ultimately, and she has the research to back that up, but it's interesting because when you get absorbed into the story of stress is bad for me, then of course it will really seem as though any stress at all that you're holding, I need to let it go, I need to put it down, because what will be the ramifications? It's running that story that stress is bad for me is the thing that causes the problems. But if you see stress as just something that's useful, and by the way, we've all had experiences where sometimes we've done our best work under pressure. I know personally I've had moments where creativity is not coming, and the deadline's looming, and the night before you have a flash of inspiration, or you do seemingly impossible things because you have to under pressure. For me, the idea is not to get rid of stress, but can you convert? And by the way, there are two phrases that are interesting to learn. People talk about distress, so it's the unpleasant side of stress. But there's also another word that people don't always know, which is eustress, E-U-S-T-R-E-S-S. Eustress is the positive side of it, the way the experience of having stress motivate you and help you take action. So can you convert distress into eustress? When thoughts appear that in the past you've reacted to as I mustn't have these, or thoughts appear that have stressed you out, the real gold standard, I believe, is can you begin to sit back from these thoughts and just see them as thoughts, not get absorbed into them? Because it tends to be that when you don't get absorbed into your thinking in the same way, and you see them as just thoughts, your body kind of stops taking them as real. And that's really useful. It means you can have the thoughts and capitalize on them and go, yes, this could motivate me into taking action, without having the physical ramifications of stress is bad. But if the goal is essentially to just put the glass down, and they don't give you any instructions how to do that I think is problematic and leads people into more fearing their own internal state and fearing stress and perfectly natural things. And again, I've done a video on this about toxic positivity and this idea that people have to be positive all the time about everything these days. And no, you don't. One of the things I feel strongly about is, can we help people to not fear their own internal experience? And sometimes there are going to be stresses and strains because we're human and life unfolds around us. And with that, certain stresses appear. But can we develop the skills to become more resilient, stronger, not so that the glass weighs us down, but so that we can notice it and use it to become stronger, resilient, and better human beings in the future? Let me know if you agree with me. And by the way, if you've seen any what seems on the surface like positive, transformational YouTubes or Facebook posts or memes, and you want me to share with you what my opinion of them is, then feel free, drop a link below, let me know, and I'll check them out, and we'll do some YouTubes on that too. If you haven't already, go and click subscribe, go and click like, go and click share. Hey, here's a good idea. Share it with someone who's shared that post about the glass with you, and see what they say. Hope to see you all soon.